I guess the only way to really describe what's going on right now is uh, I'm trying to define this feeling of exactly where I am, and it's interesting. But uh, I thought what was close was this thing I had said to Bill months and months ago. Uh, that I feel like right now I've been in graduate school, and I don't know exactly how to explain that. But I said it to other people, and they and one guy said, well, it was the best time of his life. And it really kind of is that. It's, getting from high school to college, was just a complete nightmare. And then when you finally get to college, you're not the only weirdo, and that's liberating. But getting to graduate school is when you get to meet the other cool people, and you get to sit at the cool table and do cool things with the cool guys, and talk about cool things and things that are not on Facebook and YouTube, and so the feeling right now with all of that is it feels very similar. It feels like I just finished. It feels like I just finished this really hard semester, like the 6 month thing, really, when you think about it, from start. I know, but the lights are great, aren't they? But no, but it feels like this 6 month thing. Uh, Program, and I feel like last week I feel like in many ways it was finals, like I was in the middle of finals is what it was, and it was not just putting together a memorial and putting together a place to live and putting together a, a, a place where I could create and work and do things and all at the same time and using absolutely nothing. Again with the nothing, but that's exactly, but it feels in so many ways weirdly like, like it was finals, like this is what I had been studying for. Like all of this is exactly what I feel like I had been studying for, and I had spent a lifetime getting ready for. And whether it's, this old thing that I've always done a million different times in a million different ways, uh, it has always been rescuing garbage. It has always been about making something out of nothing. It has always been about that, no matter what it is, no matter where I have been. And it started in childhood, and it never stopped. It didn't stop in the hospital. It didn't stop when I was homeless. It didn't stop when I lived under a bridge. It didn't stop, when I lived in an umbrella. It didn't stop when, I lived in a park. It didn't stop when I lived in a group home. It never stopped. And it never stopped. And it's gotten me thrown out of places and really, and stolen from and everything else. And it's been this entire struggle to be allowed to create this environment that I have just that without the ability for me to create my environment, I simply cannot function, not in any useful way. The world has to make sense to me, and I don't know why, but umbrellas do need to fly all the time. And I had been waiting and waiting and waiting for this opportunity, to have a backyard, to have um, just an opportunity to just be left alone and say do whatever you want, and and I know how to work within standards and not ask for anything and celebrate everything, and how to keep everything above reproach, because nothing is thrown away and everything is celebrated, and it has to be, because it has to be, because in some ways, in so many ways, the only way you're allowed to be an exception is to be exceptional. You have to just you have to be exceptional. And if you do it so amazing, they can't say no. That's always been the idea, and I have just been training for that. And then you run into somebody like a Bill, who's got lots of toys to play with and nothing to do, and could stand some entertainment, honestly. And what better, for Bill, who has a big heart and likes to help people, and here comes something interesting that might be helpful, and blah blah blah, and it's all it's all very nice and coordinated, but but not just on the artistic front or on the home front or on the creating the environment front, or on the autistic front or the Aspergian front, but on the multiple front, and also on the musical front, and it's resurrecting this entire idea that maybe I could do that, and just resurrecting this idea that these songs that have been shackled to me in so many ways. These songs, I have felt burdened by them, but I need to find a way to let them go into the world, not let them go, but to allow them to be free. And I'm finding ways to do it. So it's not only that I'm building the whole thing artistically and letting that personality out, because that's a fucking tragedy. Art and what happened to Art, what happened to him, and and it all goes, but back to the Baba and a whole bunch of other stories about multiplicity, which I will talk about, but not right now. And but it is crazy. It is crazy, this idea that I would finally get to do it, and then the weirder thing is that it worked. That it worked at all, that everything worked, and everything worked exactly as designed, and all of the ideas were celebrated, and everything happened on time. And if you're a crazy guy and who's always been crazy and people have always thought was unbalanced, unbalanced, because there is nothing but balance in this particular place. It is all about balance. Um, it's all about balance and tension and clarity and being transparent. It's all about transparency and strength in transparency. And the ability to show your work, and all of that. There's a lot of artistic ideas going that I have just never been given any freedom to do anything, and I've tried. Everywhere I went, I've tried. I'll go as far as they'll ever fucking let me. But yeah, I could do anything, and that's great. So it's not just those, but the whole musical front thing happening again and simultaneously. That whole gigantic thing, and all of that is this ridiculous. I've told this story, but all of that is this ridiculous accident that happened, and it really is true, and it does absolutely sometimes sound like the kind of story that I would make up. It does sound like something out of a show that I would write. It really does, but then it happened. Over and over and over again, it happened exactly like I might have visualized it, and that's weird. And so the entire idea of building the show, a new show or any show, I mean, it's a daydream at best for a long time, but I did make an effort and write things down and save things and send letters to myself in the future. I did a lot of that. It's really weird opening them now, but I did. I did these crazy, crazy things like that, and so the idea that uh, it's not just that the entire 6 months not only rebuilding a musical career and not only rebuilding a comedy career and not only rebuilding a massage career and not only rebuilding an art career and not only rebuilding a physical body and not only rebuilding a face and not only rebuilding a brain and any and all social phobias and absolutely no credit and absolutely uh, uh, and it goes on with a budget of $100 a month. Uh, $100 a month, man. But go ahead and build life with that. But well, here's some food. Um, and that is what you were asking me to do. But you can see out there in that garden exactly what I can do with $100. It is very interesting. Uh, but the other thing going on, Chip, I will turn that down slightly because that's
And you
annoying.
can write poems. What is more sensitive than that?
Right?
Roses are red
I-
and violets are blue.
Yeah.
Trees
well.
are brown and green, the primary colors of blue. Which is
But
why
it does get better and better because in the craziness, the whole thing with anyway, I can't talk about art always, but it's very painful. It's nice that art gets to come out sometimes now, and what's really helpful, I think, to art more than anything else, uh, he he is surrounded by art and. Who wouldn't like that? No, he put this together. He's pretty amazing that way. This is all Bill stuff, but it's very helpful to art, and so it's nice that all of that would that come together because what it does allow are these crazy things to happen, which is okay. So we were talking about how the last 6 months felt like this intensive total submersion into life on life terms go, which it was. And if we look at that as like graduate school, uh, see how fast you can learn, then and the finals were the last weekend, last couple weekends really. Well, now we're on. Here's the thing. Now we are on. I don't want to say. All right. Here's what we're going to do. In the land of Triptopia, we are going to say the graduate studies semester ended in December. Well, that seems appropriate. All right. So now we're going into winter term, and that's how I want to approach. That's how I want to approach the next 6